I recently read a study by the National Association of Colleges and Employers, and it talked about these skills that employers are looking for, and students just don't have them. Let's learn how your student can succeed, how they can have these missing skills and succeed in the world. There's no reason your student can't come out on top. Let's talk today about these 6 skills. First of all, what are the skills? They're technical abilities. That's a no-brainer. We live in a technical society. The second, teamwork and leadership, professionalism, self-development, communication, and critical thinking. And it doesn't matter what field your student goes into, they're going to need all of these skills every single day because we are in a changing world with a changing workplace. So let's look at each of them individually and talk about why those skills really matter and how your team can learn these skills before they get there. Because the ones who know the skills before they even graduate high school are the ones who are going to succeed most in college, university, and succeed most in the workplace. Now, maybe your student doesn't plan to go to college or university. That's okay too. They're going to need these skills in any job that they have. They're going to need these skills if they stay at home and raise a family. These are life skills that really make a difference, and they're going to be the difference between success and struggling on a daily basis. So the first one we're going to talk about today is technology. It's really, really important that we don't avoid technology. This is something that many of us tend to shy away from. We don't like to grab onto the latest technology. And it's really important that we expose our students to technology, to changing technology, so that they can be open to and adapt to new technologies and be able in their workplace to very quickly learn the new things. They need to be able to use the technology to be productive, to choose the correct technology required, the correct application, and to look for the things that they really need. They need to be able to manipulate information, to create digital graphs in all different formats, use spreadsheets, be able to use data and images to help explain their position so that they can move forward in a persuasive manner. And that's all part of leadership and teamwork. In fact, in our new world, it's really about teamwork leadership. It's about us learning how to lead by being a part of a team and being a team leader. This is something that, 20, 30 years ago was less common, but today almost every corporate workplace is working in teams, and it is not an authoritarian top-down system. This is a system where management really needs to get their team to believe in the goal that they have and to help each one of their team members be prepared to do their part to get there. And how do we do that? Our grads need to be able to inspire and persuade other people, to be able to motivate them, to be able to explain their vision and their goals and show them why it's really going to matter. This is all about thinking innovatively, going beyond the traditional ways, finding a new way of doing something, being able to listen to the team members and take the ideas that they have and incorporate those ideas, being able to understand their points of view and consider whether or not maybe some of those ideas are really actually valid and they should have considered them themselves. They need to be able to listen without interrupting. This is a really difficult one for teenagers, but to be able to listen without interrupting and then ask appropriate questions to actually get to the root of what the other person is saying, especially if they disagree. So it's important that in disagreements, we're able to ask questions to learn more about what the other person thinks, believes, what angle they're coming from, and why do they think that? What's their personal experience in that area? These are skills that we can have by having conversations with our young people, by exposing them to different ideas and having them have conversations with people who believe differently than them. It's really important that we don't isolate ourselves. They need to be able to use their own strengths to complement others and to invite others to use their strengths so that the people on their team feel that they are contributing in a valuable way. That's going to make them want to keep working together. So these are the types of skills that our teens really need to be working towards. This is something that we can encourage by encouraging our young person to be in leadership roles, to be in situations where they are mentoring a younger person, and be in situations where they are coaching or doing things like that, because that's going to help them to be encouraging, help them to get people to do things that they might not want to do. And unfortunately, that's a big part of life and a big part of leadership. The next thing we're going to talk about is professionalism. Now, this is something in homeschool quarters we often think, oh, well, they'll figure that out when they get there. And yes, they will figure it out when they get there. But if they know how to do these skills before they get there, they're going to be much better off. In homeschool circles, we tend to be much less strict about deadlines, about following instructions. We're very quick to say, oh, well, that's an interesting way to do that. Okay, why don't you do it that way if that's the way it interests you? It's really important in some subjects and sometimes that students must follow instructions, whether they like them or don't like them, whether they think it's the best way or not the best way. Sometimes the instructions are the best way, even when we don't know why. We could ask questions why that's the best way, but it's important to be able to follow those instructions. It's important that students learn to be on time, to dress appropriately for different situations. In our very individualistic society, we're finding more and more that young people and 20-somethings are saying, I have to be my true self. I am just going to be who I am wherever I go. And while in some senses, I applaud this idea that we should be authentic and honest, it's really important that when we go into situations that are corporate, when we go into situations that have expectations, that we can rise to the occasion. We can embrace the culture of the morale and the workplace we're walking into. So if it is a casual environment, follow their rules for what casual means. If it is a professional environment, follow the dress code. It's important that students recognize that they can't just go everywhere the way they want to dress. And this is really important, even though the workplace is becoming more and more casual. Students need to be dependable and consistent about timelines, about finishing things on time, and they need to want to meet or exceed goals. They need to want to drive themselves. They have to have some motivation. That's part of professionalism, wanting to do well. And that's really important as well. The next thing is career development. That's what the NACE calls it. Personally, I would call it self-development because it's really exactly the same thing. And in the teen years, we're not so much talking about career development as we are talking about self-development. And if they learn these self-development skills in the teen years, they'll be ready and they'll just use those skills for career development. Teens need to be able to look at themselves and reflect, see where they can learn and grow. They have to be aware of their own strengths and what areas they have weaknesses, and then set out a plan so that they can improve those areas where they have weaknesses. So often we have a closed mindset where we feel if we're not good at something, we never will be. But the truth is that if we have a growth mindset, one that says, I'm not good at that yet, and this is what I'm going to do to get good at it, those are the skills that employees are really, really looking for. Employers want employees who are challenging themselves, growing, looking for education opportunities, looking for places they can advance themselves, looking for new opportunities. And being able to recognize that we have struggled or failed, make a new plan, continue, grow, learn, instead of giving up, procrastinating, and avoiding. So it's really important that we have a situation in which students can have some accountability and learn these skills. They also need to have persuasion skills to advocate for themselves and for others. And this is for self-development. So in this area, that means advocating for, I really need to take this course. It's really important that this other person come and take this course with me as well. So being willing to fight not just for yourself, but for other people. Communication. Oh, communication is so, so important. And here we're talking about communication, not just with our words, with the tone of our voice, with our body language, and our eyes, with our emotions, everything in us, so that we can communicate how we think and feel. The best way to do this is not through email, text, or even voice messages. The best way to do this is face-to-face, and students need to learn how to have face-to-face interactions where they express ideas, where they express themselves, and they're able to communicate and exchange information, ideas, facts, opinions, perspectives. They need to be able to have excellent verbal communication, written communication, and they need to be active listeners so that they can persuade and influence other people. Active listening means that they're not listening and waiting for the opportunity to interrupt or to change the topic or to even say why the other person's wrong. Active listening means understanding what the other person is saying, feeling, and trying to understand why, especially if we disagree. Isolating ourselves in an echo chamber where we only talk to people who believe the same as us is a dangerous thing for everybody. This alienates people outside of our belief system. It means that we start looking at other people and thinking, yeah, they're just not very smart. And then that turns to, they're just stupid. And that turns to, they're just less than human. This is how our world has gotten into so many difficult and horrific situations. It's so important that we are able to have our ideas and perspectives challenged and to be able to answer back, to be able to understand why someone might feel the way they feel or think the way they think, ask questions about their personal experience, and learn how they see the world. And then be able to respectfully say, I understand that you feel this way, and I can understand why you would feel that way, but I'd like to show you my perspective. And then respectfully and with proof, show them your perspective. So being respectful of other people's opinions, even when you're advocating for yourself, even when you're standing up for your own rights, to be respectful and to be able to ask for help when you need help. Not all the time. Not every time there's a little glitch. No employer wants anyone running to them every time there's a little glitch in the system. They want you to be able to think clearly, find the solution, and solve your own problem. But if you're struggling and you need help, to go and find the help you need instead of wasting time trying to figure it out for hours and hours and hours yourself. Critical thinking, and this comes along with equity and inclusion. And we know in our society, equity and inclusion is a touchy subject for many of us. However, it's still vitally important that we love and care for everyone with whom we come in contact. So to be able to think critically and also to do that with respect, understanding, and love. It's interesting that employers are asking us to respond exactly the way the Bible asks us to respond, by thinking clearly, knowing what we believe, testing thoughts, and showing love. So it's important for students to learn how to solve problems, to make logical decisions, to have sound judgment, to go and research and look at all different sources, not just the sources that they approve of, not just the sources that agree with them, but to understand every side of an argument, to anticipate needs and risks and concerns of other people so that you can avoid difficult situations, and to be able to summarize and interpret data and facts. This is all about research. This is about research persuasion essays. That is where you learn these skills. You learn them by finding out what all the sides believe. You learn it by understanding what your reader might believe and being able to show logically and persuasively that you have a valid opinion about that as well. Being able to research and interpret data and facts is all about researching, note-taking, and organization skills, knowing where our sources come from, and also being aware of our own personal biases so that we can make sure that we validate others, but as well are open to the idea that in some things we might not have it exactly right. So we also need to be able to discuss our own actions without getting jumpy or agitated or feeling attacked. We need to give rationale for why we did something the way we did it and show that we did consider other people's thoughts and feelings and ideas. So to be able to say, yeah, I did it this way. Can I share with you why I chose to do it that way? And going from there to be able to explain our own rationale. So these are some of the things that are so important today as we move forward. And I want to challenge you. I recognize that essays are not something your student is probably going to write in their adult years. In fact, most of you haven't written an essay since high school or college or university. But it's through essay writing that our students can learn these skills. If your student is struggling with managing their own time, getting things done on time, making sure that they prioritize the things that should be coming first, if they're struggling with setting goals and dreaming and making a plan and getting there, if they're struggling with feeling like they're a failure because they have difficulties in an area, I'd love to help. So please do reach out. You can email me anytime, support@discerntolearn.com. I have an open inbox policy. I hope you'll email me soon. Thanks so much for listening and have a wonderful day.